The sharp cold of early November, you never forget how it feels. It doesn't just touch your skin, it works its way into your bones. That morning, when I stepped onto the old Pinebrook train platform, the cold felt exactly like that. Deep, steady, familiar. And at 72, I suppose I feel the seasons differently now. Every winter reminds me of the ones I wasn't sure I'd survive. Ranger walked beside me, my 5-year-old German Shepherd, strong, alert, sharp as a tack. But to me, he wasn't just a dog. Not since my wife passed 3 years ago. After she died, silence became a kind of enemy I didn't know how to fight. And Ranger, well, he was the one thing that kept the silence from swallowing me whole. That morning, he tugged gently at the leash, urging me forward. "Easy, boy," I said with a small smile. "The train won't be here for a while." But he didn't slow down, not even a little. His ears stayed high, his eyes scanned every inch of the platform. He was listening to something the rest of us couldn't hear. And looking back now, I should have taken that as a warning. Pinebrook Station felt older than memory itself. Warped wooden benches, rusted rails, and the smell of wet leaves tucked between the planks. There were only a handful of people waiting that morning. A mother with her toddler, an elderly man buried in his newspaper, and a railroad worker fiddling with the crossing control box. Ranger suddenly froze. Head up, body stiff, and he stared, not at me, not at the train tracks, but at that worker, as if he sensed something none of us could. "Come on, Ranger," I said gently, motioning to the bench. But he didn't sit, didn't blink, didn't even shift his weight. He stood the way a soldier stands when he hears something in the jungle that isn't quite right. If only I'd listened to him sooner. I closed my eyes for a moment, letting the cold breeze pass across my face. Funny. A simple gust of wind can carry you back decades, to dust and chopper blades and long nights where you weren't sure morning would come. Ranger nudged my knee. He always knew when those old memories started pressing in. "Thanks, buddy," I murmured. But peace never stays long. A sharp metallic clank rang out. The railroad worker had struck the control box in frustration. The crossing lights flickered, then died completely. A knot formed in my stomach. Ranger's body went rigid. A low, rumbling growl rose from his chest, the kind of sound he made only when real danger was close. Not imagined danger, not noise, real danger. "What is it, boy?" I asked as I slowly stood up. He didn't answer with a look. He couldn't, but he didn't need to, because just then I felt the faintest vibration beneath my feet. A train, coming fast, and without warning lights, without lowered gates, without anything to tell people to step back. Someone shouted from down the platform, "The 11:20 is early." Another voice followed, "The crossing system's down." Panic moved through the small crowd like a gust of wind. The mother clutched her child. The old man dropped his newspaper. The worker pressed button after button in a hopeless frenzy. I felt Ranger's gaze on me. Not on the train, on me. And then it happened. My old knee, the one that caught shrapnel a lifetime ago, buckled without warning. I stumbled forward. My cane slipped from my hand and bounced onto the tracks below. And suddenly, I was far too close to the edge. Far too close. Before I could react, before I could catch myself, Ranger lunged, not at me, but past me. His full weight slammed into my legs, knocking me backward onto the platform. My back hit the ground hard, and for a second, the air left my lungs. But I didn't care about the fall, because Ranger had fallen too, straight onto the rails. "Ranger!" I yelled, my voice cracking. Gasps filled the platform. People froze. Some covered their mouths. The train's horn roared closer, a deafening warning that left no room for mistakes. "Somebody get the dog," a man shouted. But no one dared move toward the edge. Ranger didn't look panicked, didn't look confused. He just looked at me, steady, calm, loyal, the same way he had looked at me the day my wife died, when I thought I would never feel anything again. The train was seconds away. Wind whipped across the platform. Metal screamed on metal. The lights of the engine carved Ranger's shadow into the rails. I forced myself onto my feet, ignoring the fire shooting through my bad knee. "Ranger, jump, now!" He tried. God, he tried. He leaped, paws scraping the edge of the platform, but slipped back down. Someone shouted, "It's too late," but I refused to believe that. I dropped flat onto my stomach and stretched my arm as far as it would go. "Ranger, take my hand!" He jumped again. His claws raked my forearm. I grabbed his collar, his weight nearly wrenching my shoulder out of its socket. And with everything I had left in me, I pulled. The train blasted past us, a storm of steel and air, missing Ranger's hind legs by inches. When we rolled backward onto the platform, Ranger collapsed onto my chest, panting hard. People rushed toward us, voices trembling. But all I could do was hold Ranger's face in my hands and whisper, "You saved me again, you brave, stubborn boy." He licked my chin softly, as if to say he'd do it all over again. And the day still had one more lesson for me. The railroad worker approached us, pale and shaking. "Sir, your dog reacted before any of us understood what was happening," he said. "If he hadn't pushed you when he did, you would have gone under." I nodded, still breathless. "And the system didn't malfunction," he added quietly. "It shut down completely." Ranger had known. He had felt it, long before anyone else did. An older woman knelt beside us. Her voice was soft, full of awe. "That wasn't instinct," she said. "That was love." Her words settled deep in me. Later that evening, after the crowd had gone and the sun dipped behind the trees, I sat on the old bench with Ranger leaning against my leg. "You know," I said softly, "when I came home from the war, I promised myself I'd find something worth living for." Ranger lifted his head and rested it gently on my knee. I smiled. "I think I found it." As we stood to leave, a father and his young son walked by. The boy pointed at Ranger with wide eyes. "Dad," he whispered, "that's the Hero dog everyone's talking about." Hero. I looked down at Ranger. He was busy sniffing a leaf, perfectly unaware. He wasn't a hero because he survived the tracks. He wasn't a hero because he saved my life. He was a hero because he never once let me face a day alone. And there, on that worn platform, I finally understood. I survived the war, but Ranger saved the veteran. Not once, not twice, but every single day.